So my friend Matthias, who's also my cousin, and I do say friend because I always consider him to be a friend when we talk, but we don't always talk that often. But one of the things that he said to me that stuck with me is that he said we often don't think very many new thoughts or something like that. And I think his point was that we need other input into our lives to help us think new thoughts, to think different thoughts. And it's kind of interesting because I think, I assume that, well, you kind of assume that the more you think, the more time you spend thinking, surely the more different thoughts you think. And yet, when you go back and, when you look at it, a lot of us, I think, spend a lot of our time thinking about very similar things. If we have relatively similar motivations throughout our life, or throughout a given period in our lifetime, if we have similar issues that we're dealing with and similar rewards and so forth, like it kind of makes sense that we're often thinking about a lot of the same things. And if you think about it, like how would we sometimes we can, if you will, kind of find original thought or new to us kind of thoughts, I suppose, through kind of entering a meditative state and really pondering, allowing the insights to crop up, and of course, now listening to the Spirit of God, you can certainly get new information that you didn't have before. But if you're not in, either receiving something from God directly, or you're not in a deeply contemplative state, it does actually make sense that actually I'm going to think a lot of the same thoughts because I haven't put new information into my brain necessarily. Now, if I have put in new information, that does help me think new thoughts. So, lately I've been putting information into my brain about business acquisitions, and so it has made a difference in the thoughts that I think. Um, but it's kind of interesting that I think I tend to expect myself to automatically come up with new and original thoughts just by thinking. Whereas, in a way, it doesn't really make sense that if your pool of your pool of when you're dipping into the same pool, it doesn't really make sense that you draw up something new, right? And yet, I think that's kind of what I expect when I think about sitting down and thinking about things. Now, like I said, I do believe there is some mental states I think do lend themselves to new thoughts. So I don't think it's that we can't come up with new thoughts or new combinations of thoughts, if you will. But I do think it is true, like my friend Matthias said, that many times we do think a lot of the same thoughts over and over. And part of the reason that I'm cognizant of that is because, making these videos for you guys, um, if I'm still thinking about the same topic I was thinking about yesterday, then it's like, well, what am I going to say today, right? Um, so that can play in sometimes. Anyway, hope you have a great day. Hope you find some great sources for some new thoughts into your brain, and maybe you can take some new actions.